Welcome to the channel dedicated to Stoicism and the philosophy of life. Today we're going to talk about an important topic that concerns each one of us: how to find your true self and understand who you really are. In a world full of external influences, noise, and expectations, it's hard to figure out what truly belongs to us and what has been imposed from the outside. Stoicism teaches us that the true self is not what we see in the mirror or how others perceive us. It's our inner essence, built on our values, thoughts, and actions. In this video, we'll explore how Stoic philosophy can help us come to an understanding of our true nature, figure out what really matters, and address the problematic thoughts that prevent us from fully unfolding. We'll talk about how to live in harmony with yourself, how to develop inner strength and wisdom, and the steps you can take to truly be yourself rather than what others want you to be. We'll dive into practical methods that will help you find inner balance and discover true happiness. If you're interested in how Stoic philosophy can guide you on the journey to finding your true self, stay with us and let's explore this together. Chapter 1. Defining the true self. Through Stoicism, in the search for one's true self, many face the challenge of distinguishing between their authentic identity and the images imposed upon them from the outside. Modern life is a kaleidoscope of ideas, standards, and expectations that can easily blur our true sense of self. In this context, the philosophy of Stoicism offers surprisingly practical, time-tested answers, helping individuals return to their genuine nature and gain inner clarity. For Stoics, it is essential to distinguish between what truly belongs to us and what does not. At the core of Stoic philosophy lies the idea that our true self is not subject to external influences. Epictetus, one of the prominent Stoics, emphasized that a person must seek the source of peace in what genuinely belongs to them, in their thinking, decisions, and intentions. This leads us to the crucial concept of the inner world, which is above all external factors, and only there can we find our true self. The external and the internal. The key to understanding oneself. The Stoic concept of separating the external from the internal is fundamental to understanding where our true self lies. Many things in everyday life seem essential and inseparable from our existence, whether they are our material achievements, social status, appearance, or the opinions of others. However, the Stoics teach that all of this is merely temporary and does not define a person's true nature. Epictetus emphasized, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This simple statement holds a profound meaning. We cannot control many things happening around us, but we can always choose how to respond to them. The true self resides where a person makes decisions, shapes their thoughts, and chooses their reactions to circumstances. For example, a person may lose their property, but their character and choice of how to perceive this loss remain within their control. Through such inner decisions, a person begins to find their authentic self. The art of self-analysis, a dialogue with oneself. Stoics believed in the power of self-analysis, urging people to engage in an inner dialogue to better understand themselves and their true desires. Marcus Aurelius, emperor and philosopher, left behind diary entries where he reflected on life, his thoughts, and his actions. These writings serve as a great example of how regular introspection aids in one's journey to self-discovery. What does this process of self-analysis entail? It is not about judging oneself or one's actions as good or bad, but rather a skill of attentively observing one's thoughts and emotions. Marcus Aurelius described this process as the ability to see oneself from the outside and understand one's reactions to events, thus gaining insight into one's true motives and separating them from incidental external influences. The more we observe how we respond to situations, the better we understand who we truly are. An example from the Meditations of Marcus Aurelius. One of the most well-known Stoic techniques is recording thoughts in a journal. Marcus Aurelius kept his thoughts not for others, but for himself, creating a space for personal analysis and self-knowledge. In one reflection, he wrote, "Begin each day by reminding yourself that you will encounter betrayal, aggression, hypocrisy, malice, and envy. But remember that none of these qualities hold power over you if you maintain clarity of mind." This example illustrates that the essence of Stoic self-analysis is preparing for daily challenges and finding one's true self amidst the variety of emotions and external irritants. Regular reflection on one's feelings, motives, and reactions not only helps one better understand oneself, but also fosters resilience, something often lacking in the modern world. Awareness of true values and goals. Finding one's true self in Stoicism is not just about rejecting society's influence, but also about recognizing one's genuine goals and values. The Stoics believe that everyone must once and for all define what is truly important and build their life around this understanding. This often requires renouncing external rewards and material gains, which, as the Stoics noted, only provide a temporary sense of satisfaction. Epictetus advised his students to find pleasure not in material goods, but in the resilience of the spirit and mind. True happiness, he believed, does not come from what lies outside us, but from an inner world based on wisdom and tranquility. Through this practice, a person begins to understand which desires and goals come from their true self and which are imposed by external forces. Releasing illusions and embracing one's nature. People often avoid the process of self-discovery out of fear of facing traits that seem like flaws. However, the Stoics taught that every person is imperfect by nature, and accepting this truth is an essential part of finding oneself. The true self does not require a mask or an idealized image, and the Stoics openly acknowledge that weaknesses and limitations are part of being human. Moreover, accepting these imperfections frees one from the endless pursuit of external approval. Reconciliation with oneself allows one to strengthen self-confidence and not rely on others' opinions. Epictetus said, "Never strive to be someone you are not." These words contain the understanding that striving to be someone else is essentially a rejection of one's true self. Therefore, finding oneself through Stoicism means embracing one's nature with all its strengths and weaknesses, without the desire to correct oneself to meet external demands. In summary, thus, Stoicism offers a clear and consistent path to finding one's true self. This path consists of several crucial stages: letting go of dependence on external circumstances, daily self-reflection, understanding true goals and values, and accepting one's nature. Each of these steps allows a person not only to better understand themselves, but also to manage their perceptions, strengthening their inner self in any life challenge. Self-discovery is not an instant result, but a daily practice, where resilience, mindfulness, and honesty with oneself become the best guides. Once a person begins to live in harmony with their thoughts and beliefs, their true self gains stability, making them impervious to the whims of the external world. Chapter 2. Embracing your imperfections as part of the true self. The Stoics believe that a crucial step toward finding one's true self is the acceptance of personal imperfections and limitations. Unlike modern notions that often equate the self with an idealized version of perfection, Stoicism teaches that authenticity means acknowledging one's human nature, with all its strengths and weaknesses. Epictetus, one of Stoicism's most influential voices, frequently reminded his students that striving for a false ideal, either to impress others or to conform to external expectations, only leads to inner conflict and dissatisfaction. Instead, accepting oneself fully, without judgment, allows for true growth and self-discovery. Why perfectionism stands in the way of self-discovery. Perfectionism is often rooted in fear of judgment, failure, or rejection. Stoicism posits that these fears distract us from focusing on what truly matters, shifting our attention to outcomes rather than intentions and integrity. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, noted that to live authentically, one must focus on fulfilling one's responsibilities to the best of their ability, without concern for external validation. For Marcus, the journey to self-discovery was not about achieving some idealized state, but rather about cultivating the qualities and values that are within one's control. By abandoning the pursuit of external approval, the Stoics argue, we move closer to understanding and embodying our true self. Instead of striving for an unattainable, perfect version of ourselves, we learn to accept who we are at each moment, acknowledging that growth is a natural, gradual process. Separating what is from what could be. A significant aspect of Stoicism is learning to live with what is, rather than being consumed by what could be. This doesn't mean rejecting ambition or goals, but rather cultivating a mindset that is resilient in the face of reality. When we constantly compare ourselves to an idealized future or to other people, we fail to appreciate and accept our current state, creating a gap between our aspirations and our present selves. The Stoics teach us that finding peace with who we are, here and now, is essential to building a solid foundation for growth. Instead of being frustrated by unmet ideals, the Stoic path encourages us to recognize the parts of ourselves that are real and unchanging. By identifying these unalterable aspects of our nature, we begin to separate our true self from temporary influences and passing desires, grounding our identity in our core values rather than in fleeting ambitions. Self-reflection, a tool for accepting and understanding oneself. One of the Stoics' most powerful tools for self-discovery and acceptance is self-reflection. Through regular reflection on our actions, thoughts, and emotions, we begin to understand the motivations behind our choices, as well as the fears and doubts that might influence them. By engaging in self-reflection, we create space to observe ourselves without judgment, enabling us to see our imperfections as natural parts of the human experience. For the Stoics, reflection is not a matter of self-critique, but of self-awareness. Marcus Aurelius, for example, encouraged himself to analyze his own behavior and to remind himself that true improvement lies in understanding, not in self-reproach. When we reflect on our flaws with patience and openness, we become more attuned to our true selves, learning to work with our limitations rather than against them. This process of self-acceptance, in turn, brings us closer to the state of inner peace and authenticity that the Stoics considered the foundation of a fulfilled life. Letting go of the need for external approval. A vital part of embracing one's true self is releasing the need for external validation. According to Stoicism, the opinions of others are beyond our control and therefore should not define our self-worth. This doesn't mean that we should ignore constructive feedback or advice, but rather that our sense of self should not hinge upon the judgment of others. When we depend on external approval, we become vulnerable to the whims of others and risk compromising our true nature to meet their expectations. Epictetus taught his followers to focus on internal values rather than external recognition. He believed that people who seek validation from others are likely to stray from their path, constantly adjusting to the expectations and opinions around them. Only by turning inward and assessing ourselves by our own principles can we begin to form a stable sense of self that isn't easily shaken by external pressures. For the Stoics, the most valuable form of approval comes from within, a deep and sincere understanding of one's values, intentions, and character. When we accept ourselves as we are, we cultivate resilience, becoming less affected by praise or criticism and more anchored in our true self. Embracing growth as an ongoing process, finding one's true self is not a one-time achievement, but an ongoing journey. Stoicism teaches that we are always in the process of becoming. Each day presents new opportunities to learn more about ourselves, to adjust our course, and to refine our understanding of who we are. Recognizing that we are constantly evolving allows us to embrace change and accept that our self is not a fixed, unchangeable entity, but a dynamic process shaped by our experiences and choices. Memento mori, the Stoic practice of reflecting on mortality, serves as a powerful reminder that life is fleeting and that growth is a continual process. When we consider the finite nature of our existence, we become more willing to let go of trivial concerns and focus on living authentically in the present. Instead of seeing life as a quest for perfection, Stoicism encourages us to see it as an opportunity to grow and become a better version of ourselves with each passing day. Summary. In this chapter, we've explored how embracing one's imperfections, releasing the need for external approval, and understanding that self-discovery is a continual process form essential parts of finding the true self in Stoicism. By shifting our focus from external judgments to internal values, and from idealized versions of ourselves to an honest acceptance of who we are, we cultivate resilience and clarity in our lives. The Stoic path to self-discovery is grounded in patience, humility, and a commitment to understanding one's own nature. As we work to accept and understand ourselves, we begin to form a sense of self that is stable, resilient, and truly our own. This inner stability allows us to navigate life's challenges with greater ease, finding peace not in the approval of others or in external circumstances, but within the enduring strength of our own character. Chapter 3: Cultivating Inner Peace Through Stoic Practices. With an understanding of self-acceptance and self-reflection as foundations, the next step in finding one's true self through Stoicism involves cultivating inner peace. The Stoics viewed inner peace not as an escape from life's challenges, but as the development of a steady mind and spirit that can withstand any external condition. This tranquility, or ataraxia, arises not from avoiding difficulty, but from learning to engage with it thoughtfully and wisely. Through regular practices that build resilience and foster equanimity, we can establish a stable inner foundation, enabling us to maintain clarity and purpose even amid uncertainty and adversity. Below are several key practices rooted in Stoic philosophy that support the journey toward inner peace and ultimately self-discovery. 1. Practicing negative visualization, premeditatio malorum. One of the Stoic exercises for cultivating resilience and perspective is premeditatio malorum, or negative visualization. This practice involves deliberately imagining potential hardships and setbacks that one might face in life. While it may seem counterintuitive, contemplating possible difficulties is not meant to make us anxious or pessimistic. Instead, it prepares us to face life's inevitable obstacles with a calm, clear mind. By regularly engaging in negative visualization, we learn to accept that misfortune and loss are natural parts of life, reducing the shock or emotional turmoil they might otherwise cause. This practice also helps us appreciate the present and recognize the value of what we have, fostering gratitude and humility. For instance, imagining the possibility of losing a valued relationship or cherished possession can remind us not to take these for granted and to cherish them more fully. 2. Distinguishing between what is in our control and what is not. One of the most fundamental Stoic principles is recognizing the boundary between what we can and cannot control. This concept, often repeated by Epictetus, is the cornerstone of Stoic resilience. The Stoics divided life's events into two categories: things that are within our control, such as our actions, choices, and reactions, and things beyond our control, including external circumstances, the actions of others, and random events. This practice frees us from the frustration and anxiety that often accompany attempts to control the uncontrollable. Instead, we can redirect our energy toward cultivating a healthy and constructive attitude toward whatever happens. By focusing only on what we can influence, our thoughts, decisions, and inner attitudes, we develop a sense of mastery over our lives, regardless of the external situation. As Epictetus advised, make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. By following this principle, we can find a deeper sense of peace and stability, allowing us to remain grounded even when facing difficulty or uncertainty. This acceptance and focus on our inner resources is essential for finding and sustaining our true self. 3. Practicing daily reflection, evening reflection. The Stoics valued the habit of daily reflection, particularly at the end of each day. This practice, often referred to as evening reflection, involves taking time to review the day's events, decisions, and emotions with an honest but non-judgmental perspective. Marcus Aurelius, for example, would regularly evaluate his actions and thoughts, reminding himself of his intentions and principles. Through daily reflection, we gain insight into our behavior and can identify areas where we may have acted contrary to our values or ideals. This practice helps us better understand our strengths and limitations and develop a greater awareness of our genuine motives. Over time, it reinforces our commitment to living authentically and aligning our actions with our deeper values. Evening reflection can also enhance our sense of self-discipline, as it encourages us to learn from our experiences and adjust our behavior moving forward. By regularly examining our thoughts and actions, we cultivate the self-awareness necessary for true self-discovery and inner peace. 4. Embracing change and impermanence, memento mori. Another powerful Stoic practice for finding inner peace and cultivating one's true self is memento mori, or remembering death. This is not a morbid focus on life's end, but rather a practice that encourages us to accept the impermanence of all things. The Stoics believed that by frequently reflecting on our mortality, we could live more fully and authentically, unburdened by trivial concerns or superficial desires. When we embrace the concept of memento mori, we become more conscious of how we spend our time and what truly matters to us. This practice helps us focus on what is meaningful, making it easier to let go of unnecessary anxieties or distractions. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself of this truth when he wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." By accepting the impermanence of life, we are empowered to live more genuinely, focusing on our true values and nurturing our inner peace. Embracing change also allows us to appreciate our journey of self-discovery as a dynamic, ever-evolving process. The Stoics teach us that our true self is not a fixed identity, but an unfolding essence that we shape through our actions, choices, and reflections. By letting go of rigid definitions and embracing life's uncertainties, we become more flexible, resilient, and attuned to our deeper nature. 5. Practicing gratitude, amor fati. Finally, the Stoics emphasize the importance of gratitude, particularly through the practice of amor fati, or love of fate. This concept encourages us to accept and even embrace all aspects of our lives, including those that are challenging or painful. Rather than simply enduring hardship, the Stoics teach us to find meaning and value in it, seeing every experience as an opportunity for growth. Amor fati requires us to view each experience as a part of a greater whole that contributes to our development. This mindset fosters inner peace by helping us find acceptance in every circumstance and learn from every situation. By practicing gratitude for life as it is, rather than wishing for something different, we cultivate resilience and serenity, allowing us to connect more deeply with our true self. Through amor fati, we learn that every experience, positive or negative, has something to teach us. This perspective enables us to live without regret or bitterness, accepting life's twists and turns as natural and even beneficial. In embracing life fully, we find inner peace and align more closely with our authentic self. Conclusion. In this chapter, we explored Stoic practices for cultivating inner peace as a path to self-discovery. Through negative visualization, distinguishing what is within our control, daily reflection, embracing impermanence, and practicing gratitude, we can develop a deeper sense of tranquility and resilience. These practices serve as a foundation for finding and nurturing our true self. By accepting life as it is, focusing on our inner values, and releasing the need for constant control, we cultivate a stable and peaceful state of mind. This inner peace becomes a guide, helping us live with greater authenticity, clarity, and purpose. In learning to navigate life's challenges with wisdom and grace, we not only find our true self, but learn to live fully in harmony with it. Chapter 4. Strengthening the true self through purpose and virtue. The Stoic journey toward discovering the true self reaches its deepest expression in the pursuit of purpose and virtue. For the Stoics, understanding oneself goes hand in hand with living a life guided by meaning and moral integrity. By aligning our actions with a higher purpose and striving to cultivate virtues like wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline, we not only deepen our understanding of our inner nature, but also strengthen our character, fortifying the foundation of our true self. Purpose and virtue are the compass points of Stoic philosophy, showing us how to navigate life's challenges and maintain our authenticity. Below, we explore how these ideals can empower us to uncover our truest self and bring a sense of fulfillment and peace to our daily lives. 1. Defining one's purpose. Telos. For the Stoics, every individual has a unique purpose, or telos, that forms the core of their true self. This purpose is not defined by external success or societal standards, but by the internal alignment with what brings meaning and value to one's life. Living in harmony with one's telos involves recognizing and pursuing the goals that resonate with one's deepest values. Defining this purpose requires self-reflection and an honest examination of one's motives, interests, and guiding values. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, 'I am rising to do the work of a human being.'" His words reflect the Stoic belief that each of us has a role to fulfill, whether through our profession, relationships, or contributions to society. When we understand and commit to our unique role, we connect more closely to our true self, establishing a purpose-driven foundation that gives meaning to our actions and helps us stay grounded in times of difficulty. 2. Living by core virtues. For the Stoics, virtue is the highest good and the foundation of a fulfilled life. They identified 4 primary virtues: wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline, which when practiced consistently form the character of a person living authentically. Cultivating these virtues strengthens our inner self and serves as a guide for navigating life's challenges and maintaining our integrity. Wisdom involves seeking truth, understanding, and sound judgment. By cultivating wisdom, we develop a clearer perspective on our desires, fears, and choices, helping us live with greater intention and clarity. Courage enables us to face life's uncertainties and challenges with resilience. It is the strength to act according to our values, even when it is uncomfortable or difficult. Courage allows us to remain true to ourselves and make decisions based on principles rather than fear or external pressure. Justice is the virtue of fairness, compassion, and respect for others. By practicing justice, we cultivate a sense of responsibility to others and to society, aligning our actions with a purpose beyond personal gain. Justice reinforces our commitment to a meaningful life that contributes positively to the world. Self-discipline is the ability to control impulses, desires, and emotions, allowing us to stay focused on what truly matters. This virtue ensures that we remain in control of ourselves, unclouded by distractions or temporary cravings. By grounding ourselves in these virtues, we build resilience, clarity, and integrity, qualities essential to the discovery and strengthening of our true self. Each virtue is a practice that deepens our connection to our authentic nature and aligns us with a life of purpose and meaning. 3. The role of service and contribution. The Stoics taught that one's true self is not fully realized in isolation, but through connection with and contribution to others. For Stoics, the purpose of life includes acting as a part of the greater whole, whether it be one's family, community, or humanity itself. This service-oriented approach to life is not about seeking recognition or reward. Rather, it's about fulfilling one's natural duty to contribute positively to the world. Marcus Aurelius repeatedly reminded himself to love mankind. For him, the purpose of life was tied to being of service to others and to fulfilling his role within society. This sense of duty to others is essential to Stoic philosophy and serves as a pathway to self-discovery. By acting in service to others, we find that our actions and values resonate more profoundly with our inner self, revealing what truly matters to us and enhancing our sense of purpose. 4. Detachment from external results. A crucial aspect of living by purpose and virtue is detaching from external results. The Stoics emphasize that while we are responsible for our actions, we cannot control the outcomes. By focusing on the quality of our actions rather than the results, we free ourselves from the anxiety of success or failure and remain true to our principles. Epictetus taught, "Do not seek to have events happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do happen, and your life will go smoothly." This acceptance enables us to act with intention and integrity, regardless of the results. When we are guided by purpose and virtue, we find contentment within, rather than being dependent on external recognition or success. This detachment strengthens our inner self, as it allows us to act authentically, unclouded by fear or desire for approval. In choosing to focus on our own actions and intentions, we align ourselves more closely with our true self, gaining the freedom to live fully by our principles. 5. Embracing life as a practice of growth. Finally, Stoicism teaches us to view life as an ongoing practice of growth, rather than a series of goals to be achieved. Living by purpose and virtue is not about reaching a destination, but about continually refining one's character and deepening one's understanding. This perspective allows us to see every experience, whether pleasant or challenging, as an opportunity for growth. The Stoics believe that the pursuit of excellence or arete is a lifelong commitment. By embracing growth as an unending journey, we release ourselves from the pressure of perfection and allow ourselves to evolve in alignment with our true nature. The path to self-discovery, therefore, becomes a dynamic and ever-developing process, where each day offers new insights into who we are and who we can become. Conclusion. In this chapter, we've explored how cultivating purpose and virtue can guide us to our true self. Through defining our purpose, practicing the core Stoic virtues, committing to service, detaching from external results, and embracing life as a continuous journey, we build a life grounded in authenticity and inner strength. This journey toward purpose and virtue strengthens our inner self, helping us live with resilience, integrity, and peace. Each step brings us closer to our true self, allowing us to navigate life with a clear sense of direction and a deep sense of fulfillment. By living according to our values and striving for a life of purpose, we not only discover our true self, but create a life that is rich in meaning and anchored in genuine contentment. Chapter 5. Living in harmony with the true self. The path to lasting fulfillment. In the final part of this exploration into Stoicism and the search for the true self, we delve into how to live in harmony with the self we have discovered. The Stoics believe that true fulfillment comes not from external accomplishments or possessions, but from the alignment of our thoughts, actions, and desires with our true nature and values. This inner harmony, achieved through continuous practice, reflection, and commitment to Stoic principles, leads to a life of lasting fulfillment, one marked by peace, purpose, and authenticity. Living in harmony with the true self means integrating the insights we have gained through Stoic practices and philosophy into our daily lives. It involves the conscious application of wisdom, virtue, and inner peace, not as abstract ideals, but as the guiding forces of our every action, interaction, and decision. 1. The Stoic concept of harmony. The Stoic concept of harmony refers to living in accordance with nature, not in the sense of nature as we see it in the external world, but in alignment with our rational nature and the world's natural order. For the Stoics, our true self is rational and social, and our purpose is to live virtuously, fulfilling the roles we are given with integrity and wisdom. Harmony arises when our inner values, principles, and goals align with the natural world's order, allowing us to experience life in a balanced and purposeful way. Marcus Aurelius emphasized the importance of this harmony when he wrote, "What is not good for the beehive cannot be good for the bees." This phrase encapsulates the Stoic belief that each of us, as part of the greater whole, must act in accordance with universal reason. Living in harmony with our true self means understanding our place within the larger context of life and the interconnectedness of all beings. By cultivating this awareness, we learn to act with purpose and alignment with our higher values, making choices that serve both our individual well-being and the greater good. This sense of harmony creates a deep sense of peace as we cease fighting against the natural flow of life and instead flow with it, remaining true to ourselves at every moment. 2. Embracing the present moment. A key component of living in harmony with the true self is fully embracing the present moment. Stoicism teaches that the only time we truly have is now, the present moment, and that it is foolish to dwell on the past or worry about the future. By focusing on the present, we are able to act with clarity, purpose, and integrity, rather than being distracted by regrets or anxieties. Epictetus counseled his students to focus their energy on the present moment and not waste time worrying about things outside of their control. Don't waste your time on what's not under your control. The more we focus on the present and what we can do today, the more we realize that the only real source of peace and fulfillment is in the here and now. Living in the present doesn't mean ignoring the future or neglecting long-term goals, but rather ensuring that our actions today reflect the values that will guide us tomorrow. It's about doing what we can with what we have right now, with wisdom, patience, and humility. 3. Cultivating patience and resilience. Living in harmony with the true self also requires patience and resilience. The Stoics believed that life would inevitably present challenges, setbacks, and hardships. However, it is our response to these challenges that determines our peace and fulfillment. By cultivating patience and resilience, we become less reactive to external events and more capable of maintaining our composure and inner peace in the face of adversity. Seneca, in his letters to Lucilius, often reminded his student that life's difficulties were an inevitable part of the human experience. However, instead of resenting these challenges, he encouraged embracing them as opportunities for growth. He wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body. Through patience, we can learn to endure hardships without losing our sense of self or our connection to our true values." Resilience is about bouncing back from adversity with wisdom and grace, learning from setbacks without being broken by them. It is the ability to remain grounded and composed, even in the face of life's inevitable difficulties, and to continue moving forward in alignment with our principles. 4th, building meaningful relationships. The Stoics recognize that humans are inherently social beings, and part of living authentically is engaging in meaningful relationships. However, the Stoics also cautioned against letting external relationships define or overwhelm our sense of self. True, harmonious relationships are built on mutual respect, understanding, and shared values, rather than on the pursuit of external validation or approval. By embracing the Stoic ideal of justice, we can engage in relationships that are rooted in fairness, kindness, and integrity. These relationships allow us to discover and affirm our true self through the lens of others, creating a circle of mutual support and growth. The Stoics believe that contributing to the well-being of others is a key part of a fulfilling life, and that by cultivating virtuous relationships, we grow stronger in our own authenticity. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, frequently reflected on the importance of empathy and community. He reminded himself to approach others with understanding, recognizing that all humans are part of the same universal order. Through relationships that foster honesty, trust, and compassion, we deepen our connection to the true self and to the broader human experience. 5. Embracing life's cycles and changes. A vital part of living in harmony with the true self is embracing the natural cycles and changes of life. The Stoics taught that life is in constant flux, and that true peace comes from accepting this impermanence. Rather than resisting change or fearing loss, the Stoics encourage us to adapt with grace and flexibility, understanding that change is an essential part of life's process. Heraclitus, a pre-Socratic philosopher often cited by the Stoics, famously said, "The only constant in life is change." The Stoics encourage us to embrace change as an opportunity for growth, seeing it not as something to resist, but as something that shapes us into who we are meant to become. This acceptance of change also involves recognizing our own mortality. Memento mori, the practice of reflecting on our mortality, reminds us that our time is limited and precious. By embracing our impermanence, we learn to focus on what truly matters and live more authentically without wasting time on trivial concerns or unimportant pursuits. 6. Finding lasting fulfillment in the true self. The ultimate goal of living in harmony with the true self is the attainment of lasting fulfillment. For the Stoics, fulfillment comes not from external success or achievements, but from living a life aligned with our deepest values, cultivating virtue, and fulfilling our natural purpose. When we live authentically, embracing our true nature, and embodying our highest ideals, we experience a sense of peace and contentment that no external event can disturb. True fulfillment is found in the quiet satisfaction of living in alignment with one's principles, knowing that each day is a step toward becoming the best version of oneself. The Stoics believed that the pursuit of virtue and the cultivation of wisdom were the highest sources of happiness, and that by dedicating ourselves to these ideals, we find a wellspring of fulfillment that is not dependent on the external world.